How to lose weight without counting calories. In this video, I'm going to teach you some ideas and some thoughts on how you can lose body fat, belly fat, and get lean without tracking your food and counting your calories. Low carb diets. Don't track your food, just do a low carb diet. If you cut starches, bread, rice, and pastas, eliminate and minimize fruit, you're going to end up eating less calories and you don't have to count anything. Under most circumstances, you will lose weight very quickly and you'll get results. This is the reason why they tend to be popular, because people tend to be lazy with tracking their calories. So if you just eliminate a major food group that consists usually of 60 to 70% of most people's intake, then you will lose body fat because you ultimately cut your calories. Think about this for a second. If 60 to 70% of your calories come from carbohydrates and you eliminate it or cut it in half, you effectively lower your calories by 30%. Your net calories by 30%. And that will cause weight loss if followed consistently. The basic low-fat diet. A low-fat diet can be effective. Right now, it's not really in the positive light. Right now, it's not very popular, but lowering your fat intake is a very plausible idea on how to lose weight. If you lower your fat intake, you will lose body fat because you will effectively lower your calories. The only caveat is if you tend to eat a lot of starch and sugars, because you can eat a lot of sugar and keep your fat low. And you can still manage to lose weight. Just think about a diet that has zero fat in it. Although having a lower fat diet, an extremely low fat diet, has other health complications with proper hormone function, understand that if you lower your fat intake, you will lower your calories and you're not going to have to count them. No processed food. Almost all food we eat is processed and packaged and labeled and put in such a way. Protein bars to Twinkies to ice cream to even health snacks, granola. A lot of stuff is packaged. Now understand that although I said granola is packaged, if you eat like pure granola, there's still some processing. And when I say no processed foods, you're just trying to eliminate foods with lots of processing, typically like bread and candies and sugary stuff. And generally anything that's packaged. And if you eliminate packaged food, you essentially cut out convenient food. Convenient food tends to be very, very tasty and very easily overeaten and tends to be very dense in calories. So if you eliminate processed food, you eliminate a food group, another food group, and you'll end up eating less calories. You'll end up losing weight. Now, depending on how bad you're eating, if you're not eating that bad, then what will end up happening is you'll just lose weight really slowly if you eliminate all processed food. But if you're eating good already, and you don't eat processed foods at all, then this probably will not work for you. The soup cabbage diet. It's a very old diet, very much a fad. And why is it effective for losing body fat and losing weight? Because you can only eat soup and cabbage. Think about that. If that's all you can eat, vegetables and soup broth, oh my gosh, you're going to lose weight so quickly. Of course, this has nothing to do with health because you will be totally malnourished and you will lose some muscle. I don't recommend this. However, you can lose weight on it, you can lose belly fat on it, and you will get leaner. Hopefully. No sugar diet. Now, a no sugar diet is very much similar to a low fat diet or a no fat diet. And why is that? Because you're eliminating a macronutrient, or you're not really eliminating, but you're reducing a macronutrient significantly. And if you eat a lot of sugar already, you'll lose weight and you'll lose body fat. However, if you eat very healthy already and you eat a lot of vegetables, eliminating sugar will not cause you to lose weight very quickly. There is sugar in fruit, but sugar consists of mostly candy and treats. Try to stay away from that stuff if you're not already. But in general, if you eliminate sugar for a month and you just look at all your labels and you really track all your food, you'll lose some body fat and you'll get leaner. Counting carbohydrates. Do 100 grams of carbs, 150 grams of carbs, maybe 200 grams of carbs. It kind of depends if you're really active. Of course, keep in consideration when I say counting carbs, it kind of depends on your physical activity and your fitness level and how much you weigh, your height, your age, all those kind of things. There's a lot of roles that come into play. But if you count your carbs, what you're doing is you're counting your calories. You may not think you are, but you are. You're just counting your carbs. And if you count your carbs, what you're doing is you're basically counting the calories that come from carbohydrates. And under most circumstances, counting carbs is effective with helping you lose belly fat, because what will end up happening is you'll end up eating less calories without counting anything else. Counting fats and counting protein and counting carbs. Do it all together. This is sometimes known as flexible dieting, or it's known as if it fits your macros. IIFYM, if it fits your macros. This is another effective diet. It's just a way of counting calories. It's also a much more tedious way, but it's very effective. I think it's one of the best ways for a lot of people if you've never counted calories before, because it allows you to get an idea for how you are eating on a regular basis. Because the first step to losing belly fat and getting leaner and losing fat is being aware of what you put in your body. When people tell me that they don't eat much junk food, or I hardly drink soda, or I don't eat anything all day, or I only eat 2 meals a day, under most circumstances, they do not know what the fuck they are talking about. And this is just from my own personal experience. People who say this stuff do not know what the fuck they're talking about. And the reason why I say fuck is because they don't fucking know, because they've never actually counted their calories, they've never weighed their food, they've never fucking done anything to track their food. So they don't know. I have a friend of mine, a best friend of mine, and we used to fight all the time about food intake, and I'd always talk shit to him about how he doesn't know what the hell he's eating. And then a few years later, he lost a bunch of weight and he learned how to track his food. And now I tell him, I can't say that to you anymore, because you actually do know what you're eating, because he tracked his food. He learned how to track his food. And this is a skill like anything else. And lastly, logging and measuring food. Wait, didn't you say I didn't have to count calories? I'm not saying you're counting calories. You're just logging and measuring food. The simple act of weighing your food on a food scale, measuring your food in measuring cups, like rice and stuff, creates the awareness of how much you're eating. That is really mostly the whole point of counting calories. Whether you're counting points, like with Weight Watchers, or you're doing Jenny Craig with prepackaged meals, or Nutrisystem with prepackaged meals, all they are forms of tracking your food intake and trying to get you to eat less calories. A lot of gurus out there, a very popular podcast, a very good podcast, by the way, the Calorie Myth. I forgot the gentleman's name, but he's a very smart guy. He knows his stuff, and I actually like a lot of his stuff. And he says calories are not the problem. And he's true. He's right to a certain extent. But the problem that he doesn't understand, or maybe he misunderstands, or he's coming from I don't think he misunderstands it, but he's coming from a different viewpoint. And he actually have a book coming out called The Calorie Myth. I'm looking forward to reading it because I like that perspective. His book is probably going to be similar to Why We Get Fat by Gary Taubes, talking about how carbs make you fat and not calories. And I have to say that's kind of true in some instances, but you have to understand the context is really important, because most people don't understand the context. Because if you're active and you work out hard on a regular basis, 5-6 days a week, you train hard, you're just one of those athletic types, or want to be athletic, like I want to be athletic, you can eat fairly flexible and be fine. But if you're highly sedentary, being highly sedentary is going to be the biggest problem for most people. So then being on a low carb diet may be your only choice if you don't want to exercise, and especially if you want to see fast results. But the reality is your lifestyle is a product of how you're going to look. Of course, there's some genetics that play a big role in there. I mean, there are different levels. There are people who don't do anything. There are people who do stuff on occasion, once or twice, maybe 3 days a week. Then you have people that basically are obsessed with working out and train too often. And I fall into that category. So if you are kind of moving towards working out too often, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just understanding that the rules of nutrition apply to you differently than someone who's very sedentary. People, generally, if you don't exercise, you definitely have to watch what you eat. Otherwise, you will gain weight. Some people don't have to watch what they eat because their mechanisms in their body work a little bit better. There's a lot of arguments for this stuff of whether it's calories in, calories out. But the advice I'm giving you in this video is just basic stuff to get you a feel to understand your body. And there is no really quick solution. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. There's nothing else to it. I always try to help people get faster results by kind of manipulating their diet and getting them to follow a menu plan. But what ends up happening is when I make them a really tight menu plan, they can't follow it. The reason why is because I guess you can say they're not committed, but it's more than that. It's just that the stuff is really too hard to follow. And the reason why I understand that is because I'm married and I have kids, and following a very grueling nutrition plan is not something for everybody. So you have to assess your goals, you have to measure your level of commitment, and find out what you're willing to do. So that way you can make progress consistently, so that way you can take care of your body, look the way you want, feel great, and take care of yourself. So anyways, if you like my video, please click like if you haven't already. If you are not a subscriber, please click subscribe. If you know someone that would benefit from hearing this video, please forward them it to an email, put it on your Facebook wall, put it on your Twitter, your Tumblr, your WordPress blog if you have one. I would love to improve my channel and spend more time making these videos. Thanks for watching.